I'm going to show you a unique solution to fixing loose hinges on doors. Like many of my videos, I prefer a more non-traditional method. I don't like quick fixes, I like solid fixes. So in this video, I'm going to show you a method to make sure this never happens again. So if you've encountered this problem before and you're looking for a better solution, you might want to give this method a try. The process is comprised of 4 steps. Remove the door, plug the holes to recenter the screws, add the special threaded inserts, and reinstall the door. I think the easiest way to remove doors is to use a pump like this. I'm able to pump it up with my foot until it's supporting the weight of the door. I often work alone, so I'm always looking for solutions to make jobs easier and safer. Side note, it's possible to do this without removing the door, but it will take a lot longer because you can only do one hinge at a time and you have to wait for the glue to dry. But that is another option. Then you never have to remove the door. Today I'm going to completely remove it. All I have to do is pump it up with my foot till it's nice and snug against the bottom of the door. Then I just remove the hinges, being extra careful when I take that last hinge off, knowing that the door is going to come loose and may fall off balance. After removing the door and the hinges, it's time to plug the holes. If it's a small hole, which most of the time it is, I find that wood toothpicks work great. Here's my process. You'll need some regular wood toothpicks, not plastic, not colorful ones, just raw wood so the adhesive sticks better. Then you'll need some CA glue. Super glue works, but I prefer ones that come with an activator spray and speed up the set time. I soak the ends of the toothpicks with the glue and put a little in the hole. I usually use the thickest CA glue I can get. Sometimes it's called thick, sometimes it's called gel. I'll leave a link in the description for the 2 glues that I use. Spray the applicator and wait a few minutes. The surface may start to set up right away, but the glue inside the hole may need some more time, so leave it for a bit to dry. If you have lots of time, then you can use standard wood glue and wait overnight for it to dry, but I typically don't have that much time to wait. Once the glue is dry, you just need to use a chisel or a flush cut blade to cut the toothpicks and clean up the excess glue. Now it's time for the secret ingredient, the threaded inserts. For this situation, I prefer a threaded insert that does not have a flange, as you see here on the left side. I'll leave a link down in the description for the ones that I use. In order to set the inserts, I have to drill pilot holes. That begins with a self-centering drill bit. Some people might say plugging the holes is a waste of time because you're going to drill the larger holes anyway, but here's the reason. What happens when the hinges come loose is that they often slide down. I want to bring the hinges back up to their original location, so I'm going to recenter the screws. This requires plugging the holes. Most screws fail in wood, not because of the strength of the screws themselves, but because of the wood being crushed by the screw, especially in softwoods like the pine door jamb I have here. As the screw crushes the wood, the hole becomes too large and allows the screw to slip. The threaded inserts significantly increase the gripping power of the screws. Instead of a small diameter screw, it's a large threaded insert that's bearing on the wood, so it's much less likely for the wood to fail. Once all the holes are marked, I'm going to drill the pilot holes. I'm intentionally starting the drill bit in reverse. That way it will center perfectly on the hole, and then I flip it back to forward and drill the depth of the hole. I like to pick a drill bit that's slightly smaller than the outside diameter of the threads. This makes it a loose fit. That's intentional because I'm going to add adhesive to these and there needs to be room for it to fit. Before mixing the epoxy, I stuff a small piece of foam in the back of the inserts. I'm just using some caulk saver here. It comes in big rolls. It's pretty cheap stuff. This is to prevent any epoxy from getting inside. Once I add the screws, they'll just push the foam out of the way. Then it's time to mix. My favorite epoxy is thickened G-Flex 655 by West System. It's a little expensive and I typically order it online. If you don't have the time or the budget, then you can just use a 5-minute epoxy from the hardware store that works with both metal and wood, which most do. That's what I'm using here. This is just 5-minute Gorilla Glue epoxy that I picked up from my local hardware store. Just move quickly if you're using a fast setting version like this, or break it up into a few inserts at a time, mixing a fresh batch of epoxy each time. Make sure you get full coverage. I spread on both the hole and the metal insert. The inserts get installed with a hex wrench or Allen wrench. I use a little denatured alcohol to clean up any squeeze out. You want to avoid getting any inside the threads. As you see here, I only use the inserts on 2 out of the 3 holes for each hinge. That's because I'm going to use longer screws for the 3rd hole to attach the hinges directly to the framing behind the door jamb. Longer screws don't typically work for the holes closer to the edge because it's often hollow behind that location. That's why we're using these inserts. If there's no sufficient framing to attach to for the 3rd hole, then you can just use a 3rd insert instead. Then it's just a matter of waiting for the glue to set and reinstalling the door. One final optional component is to add thread locker to the screws. This helps to prevent the screws from wiggling loose over time. I like the purple one from Loctite. It's their light duty version. It holds the screws tight but doesn't seal them so that you can remove them in the future if you need to. Don't get their permanent thread locker, then you'll end up having issues down the road if you try to remove the hinges. And yes, before I get comments, I know these are not black screws to match. I couldn't get the size I wanted in time, so I'm using these, but it's easy to swap out down the road. You can follow the same process for the door slab as well. I don't have that issue on this particular door because this is a solid pine door. Solid wood doors like these hold screws much better than doors made from engineered wood like MDF or particle board. If you're finding that the screws are slipping from the door slab, then you can just add some inserts here as well using the same process. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, I'll see you on the next one.